Let's talk about hair loss. It's something so many of us worry about, but here's the thing. It's definitely not a one-size-fits-all problem. So today we're going to break down the real differences between male and female pattern hair loss, and most importantly, why knowing your specific type is the absolute key to seeing results.
So, have you ever had that moment you're just going about your day and you spot a few too many hairs on your pillow or maybe clogging up the shower drain? It's that little pang of worry, right? Well, if you felt that, trust me, you are not alone.
In fact, this is a huge concern for a lot of people. A 2022 survey right here in Singapore found that a whopping 44% of people said hair loss was their number one beauty worry. That just goes to show you how much this is on our collective minds.
Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. If you really want to tackle hair loss effectively, you've got to know what you're up against. And it really is a tale of two very different patterns. Understanding which one applies to you is everything. Just at a glance, the differences are pretty clear, right? For men, it often starts with that receding hairline, that classic M shape, and thinning right on the crown. But for women, it's usually a much more spread out, diffuse kind of thinning. The causes are different, so you can bet the treatments need to be different too. All right, let's zoom in on the male pattern first. It's got a fancy scientific name, androgenetic alopecia, but you'll probably just hear people call it AGA. So the classic signs for guys are pretty distinct. You've got that hairline starting to creep back at the temples, creating that M shape, and at the same time, you might see thinning at the very top of your head, the crown. Now, the main culprit here is a hormone known as DHT, and what it does is pretty nasty. It actually shrinks the hair follicles until they just give up on producing hair altogether. And just how common is this? Well, it's incredibly common. Studies in Singapore show that about 63% of men, yeah, that's more than half, will see noticeable hair loss by the time they hit 40. And for some guys, the first signs can show up as early as their 20s.
Okay, let's switch gears and talk about the female pattern, because for women, the whole experience, the look, the feel, everything is typically quite different. So instead of that receding hairline, women usually see a more general, all-over thinning, especially on the top of the scalp. One of the very first signs is often just seeing that your hair part is getting wider. This is usually tied to a mix of genetics and big hormonal shifts, like the ones that happen after having a baby or during menopause. And even though it might not be talked about as much, it is a really significant issue. Research shows that up to 40% of women will experience some kind of visible hair loss by the time they turn 40. That's a huge number. Okay, so here's the main takeaway. Why does all this matter? It's because the patterns and the root causes are so different, you just can't treat them the same way. Any kind of generic, one-size-fits-all solution, it's probably not going to get you the results you want. A personalized diagnosis is the only way to go. And that leads us to the really exciting part, the science of regrowth. We have modern, evidence-backed treatments now that are designed to target these very specific patterns, and they offer real, genuine hope for both men and women. A perfect example of this is something called low-level laser therapy, or LLLT. Now, this is an FDA-approved, non-invasive treatment that uses cool laser technology. Best part? It's painless, there's zero downtime, and it's built to literally wake up your hair follicles and kickstart natural growth. So how in the world does it work? Well, it's pretty cool. LLT basically gives your hair follicles a jolt of energy at the cellular level. It also boosts blood flow to your scalp, which brings all those vital nutrients right where they need to be. And crucially, it helps extend the hair's natural growth phase, creating the absolute perfect environment for regrowth. And the science here is backed by some seriously compelling numbers. Clinical studies have shown that LLT can lead to up to a 39% increase in hair growth in just 16 weeks. And get this, on average, users saw new hair popping up a full 7 weeks earlier than people who didn't use the therapy. But what if you could take a powerful treatment like LLT and combine it with other things? What if you could build a personalized strategy? Well, that's where a tailored solution comes in, and that's how you get even better results. This is the big idea behind a plan like Wellaholic's Hair Growth 3X. It is all about making it personal. Imagine being able to pick and combine 3 different science-backed treatments every single month. By creating this kind of supercharged plan, say pairing LLT with scalp RF microneedling and a minoxidil booster, studies suggest you could see up to a 45% increase in hair growth in just 6 months. It's an award-winning approach for a reason, and thousands of clients swear by it. And, the human touch is just so important in all of this. Real feedback from customers, like this review from VJ Ganesh, really shows how much having an expert, friendly professional guiding you through it makes all the difference. It just builds that trust and confidence. So, if you're listening to this and feeling ready to finally do something about your hair loss, you might be wondering, okay, what's the next step? Well, the path forward can be really simple and clear. Getting started is designed to be as easy as possible. Step 1 is just to book a totally free consultation to talk about your situation. Step 2, you get an expert diagnosis to figure out exactly what's going on. And step 3, you start on a treatment plan that is built just for you.
So let's end on this thought, because it's a powerful one. Hair loss doesn't have to define you. It doesn't have to be something that just happens to you. By understanding the science and looking at personalized solutions, you can take control and you can find a path back to thicker, healthier hair and all the confidence that comes with it.